kind of on partnering and sharing information. I've kind of been backed into some statistics recently, and a lot of people have seen a widely published DOJ number, I think, in 2006 of $100 billion of online fraud. It's really difficult. I don't think anyone knows how much it is, but it's a good, nice, round number to work with. And so if we assume there's $100 billion online fraud going on, that's a significant adversary. Just to put that in the scope of the information security business, the information security business, so firewalls, antivirus, basically anything you can buy to secure a computer, is about a $25 billion business of products, and there's another $25 billion in services. So, and when I've talked to Wall Street about this, they'll say, well, why aren't you selling more if the problem's so big? But if the bad guys are making $100 billion and the good guys are making $25 billion, we've got a significant inequity here. Additionally, the good guys actually pay taxes. The bad guys are not paying taxes on their I assume they're not paying taxes on their $100 billion. Generally in IT, in technology, we assume a reinvest rate in R&D of between 15 to 18%. It's generally a healthy company. If you start to put in less than that, you're not going to have innovation. You put in more than that, you're going to have a bottom line. So if we assume we're both investing in R&D at the same rate, that would put 18% of $25 million, let's just say for argument's sake, $4.5 billion. 18%. But if you actually back taxes out, maybe we're down to $4 billion of R&D across the entire industry. If you look at what the bad guys can spend in their tax-free income at that same rate, they could invest $18 billion in R&D. And so what we're seeing now is a radical imbalance in the technology and innovation by the bad guys versus the good guys. And it's important for the good guys to keep spending, but we have shareholders, we have responsibility, we pay taxes, and so we can only invest at a rate that won't kill our own host, if you will. So we're beginning to see radical innovation and see changes in the InfoSec space. And one of the changes of greatest concern to me has been a shift in. I've been at ISS 10 years. When I started at ISS in '98, we would have a very busy month if we tracked 25 new vulnerabilities. So a discrete new way to compromise a computer. In 2006, we actually had our highest number, with about 8,000 vulnerabilities for the year, about 750 vulnerabilities per month. So literally one new vulnerability per hour being discovered. Regardless of the number of new variants of malware, those are numbering in the 400,000 to 500,000 new variants per year. In 2007, though, we saw a disturbing trend, which we actually saw a decrease in the number of vulnerabilities disclosed for the first time in 10 years, so basically the first time ever. And some might say, well, that's good news. That means their software is becoming more secure. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's the case. And we've seen a new market emerge. And the market is for the underground sale and creation of weaponized exploit code. So truly buying day zero attacks on the internet in an auction format online. And there's actually a website that sells off vulnerabilities in an auction format. And this one's actually above ground, but we know it's happening underground as well. And so when you look at the motivation for vulnerability disclosures that say, a teenager who betas the new IE and wants to find vulnerabilities, so IBM hires him, or he can write a paper at an academic institution. He can say, well, I can write a disclosure, and Microsoft will thank me for my work, and I'll have a good tick on my resume, or I can sell this for $200,000. And so while we still have good guy researchers out there doing this, this creation of this economy will continue to wither our intelligence, because it's very difficult to defend against vulnerabilities that you don't know about, and improve the bad guys' odds of compromise. And we saw in 2007 web browser-based attacks up significantly, to the point where we've got a high degree of automation, and they're now toolkits. So you don't actually have to know how to write a web exploit. You can simply download a toolkit to build that. And we've even seen some websites that offer a managed service to exploit visitors to your website. So you actually pay by the drink to these guys who have an outsourced exploit service, who will fingerprint the browsers of visitors to your website and then provide a reverse compromise. And kind of the last point on this around collaboration, I was talking to some press earlier, and this computer security industry is a very competitive space. Our sales guys, we compete for every deal we get. But if I need something from McAfee, I'm calling George Heron, who's their chief scientist. If I need something from Symantec, I'm calling their CTO up. And so we do share information across industry, and we all recognize out of this $25 billion product pie that the bad guys are a lot bigger than us, and that none of our clients win if we can't share data. And it's an important message and policy to continue that none of these security companies can survive alone, and we all have to share data.
All right. As thank you both. Is Corey called in yet? No. Okay. Well, he's sorely missed. We open now with questions. Again, we have microphones so our audience that's tuning in can hear any questions that you have for the panelists at this time. Rodney?
Yes, Rodney Peterson again with EDUCAUSE. In the interest of your theme of silos, I wondered if you could comment on the federal government's attempt to break down the silos, specifically since the national strategy, HSPD 7 identified critical sectors, mandated a national infrastructure protection plan, put into existence a series of processes to help sectors organize themselves vertically, to bring sectors together horizontally, and to have private interests, private sector integrate with government sectors, and even to take it one step further on the cybersecurity aspect, or they've created cross-sector cybersecurity working groups. That is at least an attempt of the government to break down the silos, and I would even add the Information Sharing Analysis Centers, ISACs, as an extension of that, and you may want to comment, because I think ISS supports the IT ISAC. Do you think that structure for the critical infrastructure sectors and the information sharing mechanisms is a success in terms of breaking down the silos?
I'll take a first cut at it. First of all, I won't answer for the government because I no longer work for the government. And unfortunately, government people couldn't make it to attend our panel session today. So I will just take that as a kind of statement, and I'll let that sit where it is.
We encourage additional collaboration with our customers. I think they're making some progress. Cybersecurity within the business, it would be called a business area that I report into. It's about a quarter of the company, where my operating unit tiers into. That level of organization has a national security, cybersecurity campaign. And part of the strategy of that campaign is a communication dialogue that attempts to break down some of those silos from a contractor perspective. So it is actually identified as a risk area. We need to collaborate more, and our dialogue isn't necessarily limited to our government friends, our industry partners, but that also expands to the commercial space, where we have interaction both from a product vendor perspective as well as a solution provider perspective. They are more interested in knowing what strategic directions their product set should take, and we actually have some vendors with relationships where we are influencing those capabilities in context of our customer base. So if you go back 10 years, if you go back 15 years, you probably wouldn't see that. It'd be a little more closed door activity. And in terms of, we as a company understand the criticality of this space, and we are investing millions in information assurance and information operations. I can't say exactly how many millions that is, but it's very important to us. It's loud, very loud and clear that this area is important.